Okay, welcome back to the Itsy Game Series. This is episode 10, and this is creating the pipe table in C++. So our objectives today are going to be we're going to create the GameInstance, PlayLevel, and PipeBase classes. Once I go in, I do a bit more explaining, so I don't want to get too verbose here. Um, we're also going to create a UENUM for our pipe types. So if you've never done a UENUM in C++, it's exactly what you need to do. The process for any UENUM is exactly the same. So it'll give you everything you need to move forward. We're also going to create a data table for our pipe data, and we're actually going to set that up in C++. So we're going to do the C++ portion, then we'll go back to the editor, and we'll actually create the data table in the editor from what we did in C++. We're also going to set up our PipeBase class. We're not going to do an awful lot with it, but we are going to set up the stuff we're going to need moving forward. So we just kind of get a few things in there. I do need to make a couple of quick little corrections. This is actually, I think, like the third video that I shot today, so I'm running dry. At a certain point during the video, I do a UE log and I just completely spaced, and so I left it in, but it took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong in the video. So when you get to that point, you're actually injecting these two strings into your UE log, and so this get name needs to be a pointer to that, and then to do an F name, you need to do it as a reference. So I'm not going to get into big details as to why that is, but that's the correct information. So when you get there, that's the correct information. You can just put in the right thing and then skip ahead if you don't want to, watch me try to remember what I did wrong. And then also, I had said that in the video that I would do a caution about data tables. So I'm going to do that now because I forgot to put that at the end because, like I said, it's been a long day. So as far as the data tables go, the caution is that once you start populating your data table, if you go and start making big changes to the structure, you can basically cause it to, not work right and cause all kinds of issues. So if you end up needing to make, major changes or really any real changes to your data table, you're going to want to repopulate that information. When we get to the point where we're fiddling with refactoring our data table, I will go into more detail and figure out a way that makes sense to pull it out and put it back in without making it extra work. But I wanted to make mention of that so that way if you're, working with data tables on your own for some other project or whatever, if you go in and you like remove a column and there's data in there, it's going to cause major problems. So that's a heads up. There's the cautionary tale for that. So with all that being said, I'm going to kick it back over. We're going to go into Visual Paradigm. I'm going to show you just kind of where I'm at, lead you through where we're going, and then we'll get started with the coding in Visual Studio. Okay, so here we are in a program called Visual Paradigm. This is what I use for my UML class diagramming and so on and so forth. I want to throw it out there as a disclaimer before I even get started. The reason I have Visual Paradigm is one of my software architecture professors lived by it, swore by it, and I didn't realize at the time that I could get it for free using my student ID. So I ended up buying like a perpetual license in my freshman year. So like I've just used it ever since. I don't use it for nearly all of the things that it can do. So like I am not advocating that you run right out and buy this. Please, by all means, like don't. You can do the same stuff with a sheet of paper or Visio or any number of other free options. And the only reason I'm even showing this in the first place is just to kind of be able to explain where we're going over the next few sets of videos or as we push forward. Hopefully this will help some people visualize what we're doing as we're doing it. This also is a living document, so there is stuff in here that will be like, replaced, removed, etc. So don't take this as gospel. This is the final whatever. It's not. It's absolutely not. With that being said, so we have a few things that we're going to need to make our procedural system. Obviously, we need a class for our pipes. And they're going to need a couple of things in them. They're going to need a mesh. Eventually, we're going to have a volume box in them, so that way we can tell when the player enters and exits. And we're going to need a way for them to be able to tell when to spawn, moving platforms and things like that. We're not going to concern ourselves right now with the volume box or spawning platforms. Right now, the main goal is to get our shape of the level, like all of the pipes, to generate. So that's what we're focusing on right now for the next couple of videos until however long it takes us to get it done. So we need a pipe class that we can do, and then we want to initialize those pipes with information from a data table. Okay, so like what we're going to do is, remember we have all those different variations of the pipes over in the editor. And what we're going to do is we're going to put those into a data table with specific information that we can then use to, differentiate, call, create like spawn tables within our level script and things like that. So we need that pipe class, and then we also need what's called an FTableRowBase. So all data tables, the rows are built, or the columns are built off of the FTableRowBase. So you'll see that as we create the thing and then bring it into Unreal. Like making a data table is crazy simple. It's not hard. Don't feel overly challenged with that. In addition, we're going to need, an enum. So we're going to create an UENUM as well with our different types of pipes. So, a start, an end, a D90, D9045, etc. So we're going to create those because we'll use those to switch and flip things back and forth. So we'll need that as a data structure. And the, table, row base, the enum, and the pipe base will probably, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to stick them all in the same .h file. That way, because like if you need a pipe, you're also probably going to need the enum, and you may or may not need the data table. So like they all kind of rely on each other, so it just makes sense to just group them together. In addition to that, we want to be able to have like, essentially like a controller for our level. Now we could do that by like adding an actor that I just drop in the level, but in this case, I think it makes the most sense to actually use the ALevelScriptActor, which then we can like reparent our level to use, and then that will do like push the logic within the level. And then on top of that, we're also going to need a game instance because we want to be able to store the data table, the object itself, the actual data table, like where we can get it in C++. We're going to need a reference to that somewhere that we can get and pull, from various places. So it makes sense for it to be in the game instance because then all I got to do is set it once and then everybody can go grab it. And then on top of that, to make things even more interesting, we want the overall level design, the whole game, we want it to all be random, but we want it to be random in such a way that we can seed it. And so that way, when player A plays and player B plays, they have the exact same experience if, like they put in, seed value, whatever that number is, 11111, right? When A plays and B plays, we want all of their blocks to drop at the same time, all of the timing, all of the whatever to be exactly the same. So that way, if player A is on the same seed as player B, then they can actually compare their results and say, well, like I speed run it in this time, and then this person's like, it's like a kind of a competition thing. Who's got the best? So that is one of the key ideas with the whole how we're setting it up, is to try to make sure that those experiences can line up even if you're on separate machines, different times, whatever. Okay. So we're going to use a random stream to do that, and we're going to drive all of our random generation off of a single stream that's used, throughout that level. So with that being said, we're going to have to put that somewhere, right? So I had it in the game instance. I may end up putting that over into the level script. I'll have to decide when we get there. We may end up refactoring some of this, moving things around and that sort of thing. So that is a basic idea of where we're going. From here, we can head over to Visual Studio. You're going to need an actor class for your PipeBase. You're going to need a GameInstance class for your game, and then you're also going to want a ALevelScriptActor. So we're creating these three classes. I'm going to create those offline. We've made a lot of classes already, so you shouldn't have too much trouble with that. If you do, leave it in the comments and I'll walk you through it. It's not a big deal. So again, just to make sure I get everything out there, you want a class, an actor class for your pipe. You want a level script actor class for your PlayLevel script. And then you want a game instance class for your game instance. So go ahead and create those, and then I will meet you in Visual Studio. Okay, so here we are in Visual Studio. I've recorded this once before, but I got a phone call mid-process, so whoops. So anywho's, also, you may or may not be able to hear my daughter playing outside with her friends. They are really loud. But you know what? Dragons be dragons, so we'll hopefully it's not too loud and it's not too big of a deal. All right, so we are looking at our PipeBase.h, and we are gonna make this go. So logically going, we're gonna need a couple of things first. So we're gonna need the enum because the data table uses the enum, so the enum's going first. And same thing with the PipeBase, it'll also use the enum as well. So we'll go ahead and create that first. So it's going to be a UENUM. So, and I don't know if Visual Studio, I don't remember if Visual Studio auto completes this at all, but using ReSharper, it will, and it's not correct. So we got to fix it before we can use it. So it's a class, and then the enum, it's got to have an E at the beginning or else it won't work. So for us, it's going to be E pipe type. And then you need to derive from uint8 in order for the Unreal build tool to pick it up. And then we're going to make it a blueprint type, so that way we can use it in blueprints. And then we'll create our literals. So, okay, so we've got pipe underscore start. All right, and then I want to be able to affect the display name, so I'm going to go umeta, and then display name. I can hear them. So display name equals start. All right, and then comma, and then I can copy this and then reuse that as we go. So the next one we'll do is pipe end. There we go, caps lock. Pipe underscore end. Sorry, I'm just laughing at my little people. All right, so pipe end, and then next we're gonna do pipe. We'll do D90. We'll do pipe underscore D90 D45 for that joint. And then pipe underscore should be D45. pipe underscore D45 D90. And D45 D90. Okay, and then one last one we're gonna do is pipe underscore none. Okay, and that's for so when we put that in there as a default value, it's another way that we can look at it and say, hey, this is not a value that we can do anything with. So, kick it back. Okay, so now we have our enum. Congratulations if you've never done a UENUM before, you just did, and it is usable in the game. Okay, so the next thing we want is we're going to want to create the row base for our data table to use. And so in order to do that, we need some of the stuff from data tables. So we need the FRowBase. I'll pull up the documentation here. So I will link this in the description, like I did before with the other references. So you can see it's a struct and it's FTableRowBase. So if you want to dive deeper into that, you're welcome to do so. But essentially, it's just laying out what our columns are going to be. So it's a ustruct. So ustruct. And then that autocomplete for me. And then we're going to name that. Let me double check, see what I named it in my documentation. F pipe table row base. And then it's got a public deriving from FTableRowBase. Okay. And then we'll need the include for that in order to clear up the issues there. So there it is, that data table. So essentially, it's just a special type of structure. Okay, so now we need a couple of things in here. We're not going to put a lot in here starting out, but later on we'll add more stuff to it. I'll talk about some of the pitfalls with that once we bring it into Unreal and actually make our data table. But as far as the row base goes, we're pretty good. We're going to make it a blueprint type, so that way it can get picked up in the editor. And then our first property, it's going to be a U property. And we're going to do edit defaults only and blueprint read only. So, because we're not going to be changing this at runtime, we want it like just in there. Okay, and then we're going to have use static mesh. And make sure it's a static mesh and not a static mesh component because we just want the mesh. So, and then we're going to name it mesh. And it's going to be equal to null pointer. Now we're doing that as another way also to, kick back. So like if we grab a row from our data table and, we haven't done anything with it, it's going to initialize its default value with null pointer. So if we get a static mesh back when we're looking at the mesh, when we're getting ready to inject it into the game and it's null pointer, that's a way we can say, hey, wait, that's not valid data. Kick it back, try again. So that's, kind of what I'm going for here. Both with the enum type and this, so it's like we can look and say this has got bad info, like move on, try again. Okay, so we'll do another U property, and this is going to be a F pipe type. Should be E. Oh yeah, E pipe type. Sorry, E pipe type, and this is going to be type. And then we're going to make that equal to E pipe type. So, and there we go. That should be all we need getting it started. So it's kind of light, but later on we'll go back and we'll add more things to it. But we don't need anything more than this for this initial set of testing. Like I said, we'll come back, refactor, and come back and refactor several times. Okay, so now the pipe itself. We're going to scroll down, we're going to get into its class, and we're going to set up what it needs. And so it's going to need a U property. Okay, and then edit. We'll just open this up. Edit anywhere. Blueprint. We'll leave it blueprint read write, but I will probably lock it down at a later time. So we're gonna do use static mesh component, and then let's see here, class. It might be redundant, but just put it in there. So mesh, and then that's good there. So yeah, that class is redundant, but that's okay. We'll just leave it. All right, and then we'll do another U property. And we'll do it the same thing. Edit anywhere. Blueprint. Read write. And then this is going to be an E pipe type. Equals. Pipe. Okay, and then it's going to be equal start initialize as none as well. So E pipe type. So there you go, that's its default value. Okay, and in order for the mesh to work, we gotta do the add it in the constructor. So we'll come back over to our CPP file, and we'll go mesh equals create default subobject. You will get tired of doing that, but that's okay. So, and then it's a use static mesh component, and then text. And then mesh. Okay. And then root component equals mesh. Should be mesh. Should work. Yep. All right, cool. Now we're good. So it'll have its mesh ready to go. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a function to initialize this. So like once we spawn it, we want to be able to then inject, you know, what mesh is there, and then, you know, what pipe type, you know, etc. So we may not need this here eventually. I may actually pull that out, but for now we're going to leave it in there. So under public, we're going to create a new function. So it's U function. And then we'll make it blueprint callable just to make it available in case we want to call it in blueprints, like when we're testing and whatnots. And then this is going to be virtual and a bool. And we're going to call it init pipe. And then we're going to say, we're going to feed it an F name. And that's going to be pipe row name. So there you go, pipe row name. All right, so now what this will do, this will allow us, if we create any children from the PipeBase, to then change the initialization of the pipe. That may not be something we end up doing, but I want to have that available because I think I'm probably going to end up doing it. So now from there, now we gotta, so we declared it, and I always get declare and define mixed up. But anyway, in the CPP file, so Itsy, there we go. And then now it needs a return, so return true. Okay, and then when this is called, I want to go ahead and, for now, since we're not doing anything, we're gonna just go ahead and log it. We're gonna and before we get any further with that, let's go ahead and add a log category for this pipe, so that way it'll make it easier. So let's see if I remember. It's declare log category extern. Okay, and then it needs the category name, so we're gonna do pipe base, and then default verbosity is we're gonna do log, and then we'll probably do log for compile time as well. And that should work for there, and then we'll go back over to the CPP file, and then we'll do define log category and what did I say, pipe base. sure I got that right. Yep, no, I got it. So we will, let's build it real quick, make sure nothing is broken. Everything went just fine. Okay, cool. So then we'll come back to this here, and we will do a UE log, UE_log. Okay, and then category name, we're going to do PipeBase. And then we'll do log again. Then actually, no, it's should be text, I think. Text. I always get this mixed up. Like I literally just did a video on this too, which is hilarious. Yeah, no, there it's go. It's good. Is good. Okay, so text, and then we're say init, or actually do that as a string. Yeah, because I want to. Yeah. So it's going to be %s for a string, as called pipe with row name. Yeah, that looks good to me. And then another %s. Okay, so then we need to get this dot get name. Yeah, get name. And then pipe row name. See if it'll take that. Let's build it and make sure I didn't make it mad. Yeah, it failed. I did something wrong. So I got a toString. Let's see here. Let me pull up my my notes because I have this written down elsewhere. So I have a tendency to forget this. I mean, I do it all the time, but I forget it anyway. All right, so let's see here. Unreal. Where's my notes? Yeah, Unreal doc. So it's just all of my, scribbles and notes. So, all right, that's where the mistake was. Okay, so that, and I may need to do that again here. I need a pointer to it. All right, so let's see here, build this, see if that works. Might get mad about the pipe name. Yeah. So, okay, so that get name toString. Still mad at me. Invalid arguments for log. All right, so let's see, where did I go wrong? Okay, so it's this actor get name. Okay, so that's good. Pipe row toString. Let's get rid of this pipe row toString and see if that's where my oops is, and we'll go from there. Okay. So then pipe row name toString. Mad about this toString, so let's try this. F name toString pipe row name. Let's see here. So it wants two strings. Should take an F name. String. Let's see here. What's it looking for? I am truly confused on this. I don't think it's as simple as just putting it in there. Yeah, no. There it goes. So I get wrapped around the axle sometimes because like going from an F name to a string and back and forth in the UE logs, it's kind of finicky. So I've got it now. So I needed to pass a reference to that pipe row name to get it to pull in. So we're good to go. We're going to continue on. Okay, so that built. Now when we init pipe, it's going to like, log that and let us know that we did that. Okay, so now that this is all set, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go into the editor and set up our actual data table. And then I may stop the video there and then do another video after starting up the instance. I'll have to look at how long we've been going. Okay, so now that we're back in the editor, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it data. And then we're going to go into the data folder and we're going to go under miscellaneous and data table. So right here, data table. And then it wants to know what row structure to use. And so we're going to use this PipeTableRowBase that we just created and hit OK. And then we're going to name it pipe table. All right. Table. Okay. And then that will give us a data table. So huzzah, data table. So what we can do now is we can add a data table or a thing here, and we can go in and we can start adding our pipes to our data table. So our first one, we can do this one here, the D45-1, and then it's going to be a D45. And then we'll just go through each of them, setting that up. And then for the row name, we're going to do D45_01. So there we go. So you'll name it what it is, like which asset, and then we'll go from there. Or yeah, D4501. We'll just name them in order. And that'll probably be the smart play. So like right now it's like D4501 for the mesh, but like later on down the road, we may have ones that use the same mesh but are different assets. So we'll just keep it like this, I think this will work out. So let's go ahead and add the rest of these. So this one's going to be D45_02. Okay, and then for its mesh, we'll do the 02, and then we'll also set that's type to D45. And we're just going to go ahead and populate this table now. So at this point, that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to populate this table. So I think now that you have the idea of what to do, let me get through the first one, and then if you want, you can skip ahead, or maybe I'll just end the video here and then let you carry on, because at this point this is pretty simple. You pick the mesh, you set its type, and then you give it a name. And in this case, it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, and we're going to have one of each kind. So why don't I go ahead and stop the video? You should be able to put this in. Thanks for watching. At this point, you should have a data table, and we will move forward in the next video with hooking that up to our GameInstance. So again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and whatnots, and do all the YouTubey things. And thanks for watching.